Hello everyone, my name is SuperCacti and welcome back to another Lego video. Today is the day the OI is finally finished. This has been my longest and biggest project yet. This was the first tank I ever decided to build in Lego, and now finally I took a lot of time to fully finish it, and well, it is ready to be published online. So like usual, we're going to start off these review videos with a little bit of history on the vehicle itself. Well, most of you might have already heard of the OI before. It is hands down one of the most famous Japanese super heavy tank designs out there. And there's a lot of debate surrounding it, whether or not it was actually built in real life or if it was just some sort of a weird project that never came to be. But that honestly doesn't really matter because we're talking about Legos here. We're just here to have fun, really. So this vehicle in real life was going to be 150 tons. So it was going to be up there with the Mouse as one of the heaviest vehicles, well, in existence. OI actually means something. O stands for super heavy and I stands for one, or in this case, first. So you would say this is the first super heavy. So the next super heavy that will be built, if Japan decided to build one, will be O, and then, well, I forgot the name of a second, but all super heavies keep the letter O. That stands for super heavy. That was going to be armed with a 150 millimeter Type 96 howitzer. This sort of, like, a lot of people like to compare this vehicle with the Mouse, but the OI and the Mouse are hugely different. The OI is here to be a mobile bunker, having a howitzer as main armament, mainly used to destroy other bunkers, whereas the Mouse was a true heavy tank made to destroy other tanks. The secondary armament comes in the form of two additional turrets on the front. Each one of them has a single 47mm Type 1 cannon. These were sort of standard issue cannons for the Japanese. By the end of World War II, they were, well, pretty small. 47mm is not the biggest caliber in the world, but they were pretty effective for their caliber. And lastly, the last little bit of weaponry on board is a machine gun turret at the rear. I'll just plop it off. It has two machine guns placed into it. These are the 7.7mm Type 97 machine guns. And this machine gun turret at the back also sort of shows the whole design idea of this vehicle. This was going to be fighting in the front lines right next to the, well, the bunkers and the infantry. And if somebody were to flank this vehicle, there was going to be a turret at the back made to just machine gun them down. Now that we got the history out of the way, let's talk about the set. So this set comes in two different versions. What you see before you is the dark bluish gray version, but I also have a fully colored version. This one has a sort of lined camouflage pattern made with green, reddish brown, and tan. Now the reason why I decided to split these up is because of the size and the amount of parts you have with this tank. If you want to save money, you're gonna go for the dark bluish gray because those are more common colors. And I must say the OI does look absolutely fantastic in dark bluish gray. Now I want to later on have a colored one, but while I was building this, I had to keep an eye out on my bank account, so I decided to build the dark bluish gray just to save a bit of money. But that is not all. So we've got two main versions, dark bluish gray and one in color, and each one of those versions is again split up in two, one being powered with remote controlled Lego Technic functions and the other ones without. Now we'll dive a little bit more into that when we go into the interior of the set, because then you'll see all the special things. But right now I'll show you that it does work. I've got the Lego Technic version built for myself. Now, one thing I will say right now, I'll probably bring it up later in the video again. On rough surfaces like this cloth over here, the vehicle does not really drive that well. It is a very, very heavy Lego set, and the gears and all that stuff like to sort of break themselves apart. But on a smooth surface like a wooden floor, it drives perfectly fine. I'll do it right now actually. I'll put up a video of the tank just driving around on a smooth surface. The only flaw I have seen with this set is if it gets stuck a little bit, it puts a lot of strains on the gears, and then this section here at the rear likes to pop out. I've done my best to make it as strong as possible and to keep it down in there from popping up, but you know, it is a very big and very heavy set. I actually forgot to look at the weight, but I think it's somewhere around well, actually, I'll put it up as a text just to make sure, because I think it was somewhere around the 10 kilos, but that might be a bit too much. Or it's a less, I don't know. Well, Let's actually get into the exterior of the set first. So we've got 4 turrets. Each one of them rotates around, even the main one on top and the machine guns. The front turrets here have a little hinge so they can move up and they can go flat. If you want to sort of have the gun depressed down, which you could do if it wants to, you can just grab this thing, flip the hinge around, put it back in, and then you can just sort of depress your gun down. It just sort of depends on what look you want to have your set be in. So if you have a display case, you know, you want to make this thing look like it's fighting enemies, so you can swap around the hinges if you want to have them in a certain direction. Main gun does also turn around by himself. I see those out of focus. I hope that wasn't too long. But the main gun also goes up and down, and of course full 360 degree. Well, not full 360 because the antenna like to get in the way, but oh well. And the rear turret, I'll plop it off again. Same idea as the one in the front. It's got a hinge mounted on it. And for the machine gun turrets, I thought to aim it down because most of the time you're going to be shooting at infantry, so you want to aim the machine guns down at them like that. Now each one of the turrets also has hatches at the top. You can just open those right up and you can just slot a little minifigure into it. I'll get one right now. There we go. So you can have a little guy sitting in it. Even the turret at the top has hinges. And luckily I have another character to put in there. So you can have a total of 4 people just sort of sitting inside of the turrets if you want. You can have even more Lego minifigures just standing on top of the vehicle. Like this vehicle is just massive when you compare it to it. Oh, I forgot to mention this at the beginning of the review. This OI is in 1:30 scale. So I prefer to build in 1:35, but like you might have already seen with my Cheery as well, sometimes I also go to 1:30 scale just because I can add in more detail. And if you look at this OI, there's just so much detail all around the place. So could you do this in 1:35 scale? Yes, you could, but I do think you lose a lot of very important detail for this set. Also, what I forgot at the beginning of the video, see overall dimensions of this set. I mentioned the weight, but I guess we'll do dimensions right now. It is 35.9 centimeters long, 21.4 centimeters wide, and 15.5 centimeters high. Something to note is the height is of course affected by these antennae. So the height I'm talking about is all the way up to here. And the width is of course also affected by the logs mounted on the side. So the actual tank down below all this detail is a little bit smaller. And for the American people out there, the length is 14.1 inches, the width is 8.4 inches, and the height is 6.1 inches. Now that we got that out of the way, let's start to go into the interior of the set. So these small turrets at the front, they only have the hatch. They don't have any other sort of interior, so we can just put those aside. And you. The main turret, however, does have some detail, and I've already plopped it off. You can remove the roof of the turret. Then we can get the turret off as well. And inside we have, well, a little bit of an interior. So the gun, as you can see, can move around in there. We have a sort of a breech modeled as well, and we have some shells mounted on the side. Now these shells, I also have them in the interior. There we go. They're just simple, a 3 long bar painted in gold with some black on top of it. I tried to base these off of the real life shells, and I've got 2 variations of it. I sort of have an HE version with a flat top, and I've got an AP version with a cone. Just to add in some more detail. For the interior of the main turret, that is about it. You can see that these plates on the side, they are mounted on hinges. I think that's the best way to sort of get this unique shape of the main turret down. Also something I'll be completely honest with you about. There is one illegal build technique in this set. Now you might not be familiar what this is. This is basically building with Lego in a way that Lego does not really approve. So Lego can connect together on sort of weird and funny ways, and I've decided to use one of them for it. And you might already see it here. It is right here on the bottom of the gun. This, like the real life OI has sort of this slope going downwards, and it sort of makes the, it prevents shots from going into the breach like that. Now, and how this is mounted is it's just like this. It is two small 1x1 slopes just pushed together into a 2x2 plate, and these slot in perfectly into a 2x2 brick. It is a pretty, it doesn't just fall out, it stays in there perfectly. It is, well, it's a really nice little bit of detail if you ask me. It just sort of makes the gun look even better than it already does. Now let's move on to the hull. So what we can do here is we have three plates that we can remove from the top. Let's first remove these bushes because they are slightly in the way of the plates. And what you can do with this one at the top, I will just pick up my camera, hope it's not too shaky. You can get your finger and you can pop the whole thing off. And there we can see the Lego Technic goodies, but we'll get into that in just a second. We can do the exact same thing at the, let me try to get the camera down, there we go. At the front here, my fingers might be a little bit too fat and I didn't grab a tool to put in between it. There we go. Well, if you got the same problem as me, you can also just get a screwdriver and you can just winch it out. It's not a big problem at all. And at the rear, we have another plate. Oh, this is going at the expense of my fingers. So you have 3 plates that remove the tops from the hull. And now we can grab the entire hull. I'll just hold it sideways for you and try to get the camera on target. Like, this vehicle is too big for my little recording setup. So here we can see 3 main compartments. We have a front compartment which has a seat and little driver controls. This one is actually detailed. Then we have the main compartment in here. If you have the one with the Technic functions, it is going to be mainly filled up with the Technic parts, mainly the wires actually. And we have the compartment here at the rear with the gears. Now I can try and, there you go. You can see the gears moving around. These control each one of the tracks, of course. I'm just using one of these remotes, simply moving one side of the tracks around. I'm not going to do the other one because that's resting on the table, so it'll absolutely destroy the gears. So let's put it back down. Another thing which we can do to further strip the OI of all of its detail is we can remove the side plates. They are simply just connected on some bricks with studs on the side. And here we can see another little detail I decided to add in. And that is a semi-working suspension. So you can see there are 4 bogies on each side of the set. And each one of these bogies can move around like this. And each one of the wheels connected to it can also move up and down. So when you have this set running or driving up a little bit of a terrain, you'll actually see the suspension moving around. Plus, what this also does, I'll see if I can get it onto the camera, you can see it here. So these are set up with some Technic lift arms, just like this. And they actually further, they let the track run in between it. So this is a further sort of strengthening of suspension. So the track runs really nice and smoothly through here. You can see at the front, I've got some inverted curved slopes. These will just guide the track much better. And they are also hidden right in there. You can see them slightly. There are some more. Just to sort of prevent the track from getting stuck and just making sure that this runs around smoothly. There we go. Well, for the Technic controls, you are able to access this rather simply. The button, you can see it right there. It's not the most accessible thing, but you can reach it with your finger, or at least I can. Again, if you're not able to do this, just get a screwdriver and just poke it in there. And of course the remote receiver is right here at the top. A funny little fact, in the first version where I decided to make this remote control, I had this one buried all the way inside of the belly. I sort of forgot about the detail that this has to be exposed to the open, otherwise there's no way for you to get this signal out there. Now about the compartment at the front, it just has some minor details like some tools, a little cabinet. And on the other side, I'm just going to invert the whole thing, sorry. I've got some bricks with studs on the side. I've mentioned this before on other sets. I sort of see these as, what do you call it? Ammunition storages. There's like the little holes, they're just there for a small ammunition storage. Now, while I've been making this video and moving their OI around in a sort of weird way, I have spotted that I've broken off a wheel. But we're just going to keep it like that, so it'll be quite a hassle to get that back together right now. The reason why this just fell apart is because I'm moving the hull around such a weird way and putting a lot of stress on weird angles. There we go. Well, oh, also something to show. Here I've got all the ammunition laid up in the center of the hull. They're also on the bottom. Again, I've got them split up in AP and HE shells just to further mess around a little bit with the design. For the people out there that want to build this set without the Lego Technic controls, this what's this called, screw gear, together with the gear on the bottom, they will just simply be swapped around. Right now, the power is going to be transferred from these engines to the screw to the wheels. But when it is the other way around, when you don't have the Technic engines and you move the OI around yourself, then the power is going to be coming from the wheels or the tracks that move around. So then the screw has to be on the bottom and the gear has to be on the top. So that is swapped around. It just depends on which one of the versions you're going to be making. Well, we are almost done. One final thing I'm going to talk about is the overall parts of this set and the price that comes with it. I'll be completely honest with you, this is not a cheap set. Sadly, it isn't. I'm sorry. But this vehicle, the dark bluish gray without any Lego Technic parts, has a total of 1842 parts. Like, that is quite a lot. And if you decide to go for the Lego Technic version, there are some, you have some less parts in it, and that is 1742. 1772. Well, if you decide to make this vehicle in the fully colored configuration, there are some slight different bricks I had to use because of the color limitations. Then without Technic controls, you come down to 1859, and with Technic controls, you have 1788 parts. So there is a little bit of difference going around with the different versions you have. Also, one thing I have decided to do on the ReBrickable post, let's say you buy the dark bluish gray and you only want to build the one without the Lego Technic controls, you're gonna have to go into the parts list yourself a little bit and remove the Technic parts. Because I have the dark bluish gray with Technic controls and the dark bluish gray without. They are both in the same parts list because the entire tank still uses the same parts. It is just the Lego Technic parts that are slightly different. Now, here and there I've tried to reuse some of the same parts to make sure that the price does not go too high for the two different versions. But if you only want to build the one without the Lego Technic controls, you're just gonna have to make sure to remove the Lego Technic parts from your part list because they are pretty expensive actually here and there. Well, while I've been talking, I've been putting back the OI. And there it is again in its full glory. I think I'm going to round it off here. This has been the OI, my longest running project so far, and it is finally finished, and I can't wait to see what you guys think of this. Now be sure to go over to the ReBrickable page, check out the two different pages. Again, there's going to be one page for the dark bluish gray and there's going to be one page for the colored version. Be sure to give it a like and a comment. Also here on YouTube, share this video with your friends. If you have a huge Japanese tank nerd and he loves the OI, just make sure to show this to him. Doesn't matter if he doesn't like, well, everybody likes Lego, right? So just show it to him anyways. Last but not least, I also have a Patreon account. Be sure to check it out. I'll be honest, these last few days I've not been posting a whole lot there. So if you are a Patreon follower of mine, I'm sorry. But I have been a little bit busy with some other things, and mainly I've been working so much on the OI, I just completely forgot to actually share some other things on it. Next up on the list is another Japanese tank, and maybe I'll be diving into some other vehicles of other nations too. I've been focusing a lot of Japanese machinery, but I think I'm also going to go into some Dutch and maybe British vehicles as well. Anyways, I hope you all enjoyed this video. Again, be sure to give it a like, share it with your friends, and I'll see you next time.